Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, and we're glad you're here with us. And Annette, I'm glad you're here with me.
I'm glad to be here with you too, Ada, and I can't wait till we talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Oh my goodness, are you chomping at the bit again?
I am. I relate to this book so much. Every page is highlighted.
Do you have a few paper clips and a few flags in there too?
I do. I love this book.
It's always so funny. You can tell the difference between a book that Annette has and a book that I have. So often we buy 2 copies of the same book, and a lot of times we store them on the same shelf right next to each other, and we don't even have to look too deep to figure out whose copy is whose. All you just need to see, if there's some paper clips, it's Annette's. If there's nothing, it's mine. I have such a hard time highlighting in books. I look back and say, I wish I didn't highlight that. I'm glad I have a Kindle because I can just delete any highlight I want. But with physical books, I don't usually write anything at all.
I really struggle if I can't. In fact, a client gave us a book that he wrote and he wants us to read it. And I love reading it and I'm really enjoying the book, but he has very limited copies. So I can't. I couldn't buy this copy from him, which I even offered to do. And I can't paperclip, I can't highlight. And I'm finding that it's a little more stressful for me to read. Even though I'm really enjoying the book, it's more stressful for me to read the book because I have to keep it in pristine condition and I can't do my normal highlighting and all of that. Now, Terry Cole's book, I'm highlighting this all over. And I wanted to bring up, if you're following along and you do have a copy of the book on page 141, she has a loving reminder. And this is her loving reminder. Becoming emotionally resilient means learning to slow down, feel your own feelings, and process them without defaulting to reactivity or high-functioning codependent behaviors. And right above that, she has a paragraph where she says that many HFCs become experts on the feeling states of others, which is not the same as being emotionally intimate and comfortable with themselves, simply because they do not know how. So I wanted to talk today about the importance of feeling our feelings and what can get in the way of feeling our feelings and turning inward.
Because the second part of the book is the path out of high-functioning codependency.
Yes, exactly.
And there is a path out, and the first part of that path is to feel your feelings. And as having been witness to a high-functioning codependent for many years, it can be hard to believe how little they actually feel their feelings. They just think of what other people need, first of all, because they're often kind, and then they just go with what they think the other person wants without checking in with themselves first.
Well, it doesn't occur to you to check in with yourself first. It does not occur.
That's what's so shocking to me, because even if I ignore what I'm feeling, or I choose not to listen to it, or I say, okay, well, this would be helpful to someone else, I won't listen to myself in this moment, I know what I'm feeling. I know if I'm feeling upset. I know if I'm feeling sadness. I know if I'm feeling discouragement or embarrassed. Even if I don't act on those things, I know and I can feel it in my body even when I haven't labeled it. So it can be eye-opening, surprising to learn that high-functioning codependents don't think about their own feelings and don't even know that they have them.
Well, when your focus is always outside of you and you do that from a pretty early age,
because of trauma,
that becomes the compulsion then, and you don't realize. So when you think about your neural pathways in your brain from a very early age, they were formed to take one path. And that was to focus on somebody else's feelings and what's going on with the other person. What the part that I just read, we think that keeps us close to folks. we don't realize
Is it
that.
close or safe?
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, we think it keeps us safe, but we don't realize that that's what we're thinking. We realize that's how we're close to folks, and that's where it's very hurtful when people misunderstand us too, right? Because we're thinking, well, I'm doing this because I love you, and other people say, well, you're doing this because you're so damn controlling, and that can be really a tough pill to swallow, so to speak, when you're thinking about how other people perceive you.
So going back to that loving reminder, I want to read that again because it is important, it's vital, it's necessary for someone who sees themselves as a high-functioning codependent to check in with this loving reminder. Becoming emotionally resilient means learning to slow down. That's the first part of it. Feel your own feelings. That's the second part. And process them without defaulting to reactivity or HFC behaviors. Slow down, feel your own feelings, not someone else's feelings, your own, and process them without defaulting to reactivity or other HFC behaviors. And I'm just going to say this, if you've spent a lifetime in high-functioning codependency, I don't think you know what feeling your own feelings feels like.
No, you do not. Even if you think you do, no, you do not until you really do some work, until you process the trauma, until you practice. And this next section, which I want to read before we say goodbye today, and she's going to start sharing about the blocks to turning inward. Turning inward can feel extremely scary because, number one, most of us, if we're HFCs, we haven't done it. And we don't know what we're going to find. And so I'm just going to start reading here, if that's okay with you, Ada.
That's just fine.
The section about blocks to turning inward. So if you have the book, I'm reading on page 141. Why do we find it so hard to be emotionally present? Because we're going here, we're doing, we're fixing, we're making the meals, we're doing whatever we think you need. But that's different than being emotionally connected with someone. Why do we find it so hard to be emotionally present? One reason may surprise you. Anticipatory anxiety. Remember a few days ago I said we're going to talk about anxiety. We need to talk about anxiety. This is similar to anticipatory planning, which we've already covered early on in the book in chapter 2. But the difference is that anticipatory anxiety means we are unconsciously but continuously thinking about and preparing for what might go wrong. Remember, we're afraid of outcomes. This chronic anticipation of big and small problems needing to be solved before they arise stems from our deeply ingrained compulsion to manage the things, people, and situations around us. Our minds are always active, constantly projecting into the future as a means of feeling safe in the present. We fall under the unconscious illusion that we can prevent whatever it is we don't want from happening if we fixate on it until we're fried. We may not even realize the stress we're carrying. So the high-functioning codependents that I've known and being one of them, like always planning worst case scenario. Okay.
Planning for the next disaster?
Well, it's not as dramatic as that. It's just
of course you would say that to me.
It's a continual always being on alert. Okay, we're going to go to the store, and what if they don't have what I want to have for dinner? And then what else would I do that would make the family happy?
So it's not like I'm going to the store, I could get in a car accident.
No,
it's nothing extreme.
Well,
like
it could
that.
be. I mean, it could be, but it also are all the little things. That's why I loved it when she said big and little. Remember what she's just said in here? That the chronic anticipation of big and small problems needing to be solved before they arise stems from our deeply ingrained compulsion to manage the things, people, and situations around us. So yes, you can go on a trip and say, oh my gosh, what if this happens? But it's not that takes up your brain space as much. What it really is all the little things that could go wrong that then you're problem solving before they even happen, which is a good skill, but you do that to the extreme that you can't even take a deep breath and just connect with somebody because you're always thinking about the next thing.
So let's make that concept our intention for today as a reflection question. Sometimes we don't even realize we're experiencing anticipatory anxiety until we start looking at our thoughts during everyday life. So the reflection question is, am I living with anticipatory anxiety? Am I living with anticipatory anxiety? As always, don't judge ourselves, don't shame, no guilt, none of that. We're building awareness in case we didn't realize this is what we've been going through. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.